Andy Johnson, Minnesota State University, 11 tips for motivating your students to read. We know motivation is important because it gets them involved in voluntary reading. Number one, stop teaching reading. What? We don't teach reading. We create the conditions whereby students can get better. I would posit that 99.9% of your students can read. They know that letters go to sounds and sounds make up words. The problem is they can't read very well. We need to help them practice reading. Allow for choice. Choice doesn't mean total choice all the time, but it means having varying degrees of choice. Choice of what to read, when to read, how to read, why to read. And that leads to number three. Have varied, interesting reading material. How do you expect children to want to read if you have nothing for them that they want to read? Got to have lots of good books around. Create open-ended tasks. Tasks for which you do not know the answer. Tasks that everyone can succeed. That takes it as high or not high as they want. Less measuring, grading, assessment. Reading activities often are to practice. You don't need to grade everything and measure everything. You don't need to see if they've read the book. We have to make sure they've read the book. Well, you actually don't. It's reading practice. There are times and places to measure comprehension, to measure skills, but you don't have to do it every day. For goodness sakes, it's practice. You need to set and celebrate goals. Goals should all be different. Don't celebrate number of books read, or make sure each student has a separate goal so students aren't comparing themselves to others or don't feel behind. More opportunities to practice reading and writing for real purposes. We read to enjoy ourselves and to get information that we want to know, just like adults do. And we write for real purposes, to organize our thoughts and to communicate ideas. Create opportunities for social interaction and working together. This is where you use your teacher intelligence and creativity to create small groups and pairs that have students talking. You have to create structure, however. You can't just say, go back and discuss. Use moderately challenging tasks, especially for students who are struggling readers. Guided reading is a great way to instruct. Make sure it's within the zone of proximal development. Use scaffolded reading lessons, scaffolded oral reading, scaffolded writing. Notice that scaffolded thing. Book talks. Nothing kills reading like a book report. Nothing enhances reading like book talks, where children simply tell about a good book that they have read. And then number 11, help students make personal connections with the text. Tell me about a time when you insert story element there. How do you resemble character in story there? All right, these are personal connections. It's not complicated, people. Motivation is an interaction between the child or student and their literacy environment. That would be you. You're responsible for their motivation. And here's the last thing. Motivation doesn't simply mean giving a reward or giving a punishment. It's creating the conditions where students want to read. Teachers' number one job is to help children fall in love with books.